Hey everybody, it is Elisa DiLorenzo and I want to welcome you to Going Deeper. We go deeper because marriage was not meant to be lived at the surface. I'm so excited for today's topic because for any of you that have listened to the show for any length of time, you know that the struggle is real. Elisa is the messy spouse. Tony has said it time and time again. And so bringing on an expert in home organization, bringing on an expert that's going to help us, when maybe we don't want to be the cleanest person or the neatest person is really going to, I think, break off some things for couples today. It's going to change how you get along with your spouse. And it's going to actually be one of those things that, as we've been talking about a lot on the One Extraordinary Marriage podcast, give you more time here in 2018, right? If you're more organized, you have more time. And so I want to just jump right in and introduce you to my guest, Lisa Woodruff of Organized 365. Lisa and I met virtually. That's what I love about the world today. We met through a group that we both belong to, a group of Christian women entrepreneurs who are dedicated to stepping out and giving back to different organizations throughout this year. And I got intrigued about Lisa because she had actually posted a podcast that she had done via her show, talking about what to do after all the hurricanes. And how do we not just go, oh my gosh, this is awful, but actually step into this place where we say, you know what, I'm going to do something. And so I listened to her show and I said, you know what, she needs to be exposed to the One Family. We need what she has because she's so genuine. And let me just share with you a little bit about who she is.
Oh boy.
Lisa, you're wonderful. I love it.
Thank you.
She's a home organization expert, productivity specialist, and author of The Mindset of Organization. Take Back Your House, One Phase at a Time, and How ADHD Affects Home Organization. Lisa believes organization is not a skill you're born with, which means that there's hope.
There is.
There's hope. I'm so excited. It is a skill that is developed over time and changes with each season of life. So maybe I just haven't caught up to what season.
Right, exactly.
Okay. Lisa's helped thousands of women reclaim their homes and finally get organized with her practical tips, encouragement, and humor through her blog and podcast at organized365.com. Lisa, welcome.
Thank you, Elisa. This is just a pleasure to be with you and to meet your audience.
Absolutely. And I know, because it's caused conflict in my marriage, that home organization causes conflicts in a lot of marriages. And we've received messages from everybody on the spectrum, those that identify as kind of being the neat freak and those that are not. And you know, it's one of those areas that I don't think actually gets a lot of attention. It's sort of that underlying, like, oh, we know it's a problem, but what do we do about it? And that's why when I learned about you, found out you were in the group that we were both in, and then listened to your podcast, I'm like, oh my gosh, help. So, Lisa, as a professional organizer, and I mean, this is your field. The One Family spans generations of, millennials all the way up, baby boomers. We've got the whole range. And I'm guessing that how we look at home organization differs based on all of that.
Yes. So often when you say I'm disorganized, we want to either create a picture perfect Pinterest image, or we want to go buy like $200 worth of products at Target in the container aisle. Those are the two things we go to. Okay. And then we get home with all of these beautiful containers that match, and we open up Pinterest and we look at our realistic house and we're like, we don't have the space for the organizers. My house isn't even teal. Why did I buy teal organizers? And that's because the solution to getting organized has nothing to do with containers, has nothing to do with looking like a magazine. It's about realizing what phase of life you're in, what your organizational needs are, decluttering things out of your life, time, physical stuff, old priorities, and looking at what your future goals are, and then tackling each space, one space at a time, and only looking at yourself. So Tony looks at himself, you look at yourself, and when you get serious about organizing yourself, your spouse comes alongside you and they get organized with you. And it is very individual. So like, for example, think about your kitchen.
Yeah.
Your kitchen morphs and changes over time. When you are a teenager and a kid, you just hope mom or dad bought really good snacks, and they usually did not.
Yes.
Or you decide if you like dinner or don't like dinner, and then you have cereal if you don't like dinner. Those are your whopping choices as a kid. Then you have your own kitchen and you realize we don't own plates or silverware or any of the food. We need to go buy all of that stuff. We need to accumulate a kitchen. And then you might get married, you might have children, you might have a roommate, and you're constantly accumulating in your 20s and 30s.
Okay.
Then in your 40s and early 50s, you are surviving. Almost everything you consume in your 40s and 50s can be eaten in 10 minutes or less, and usually you can eat it out of your hand. So it's a protein bar, it's a shake, it's a coffee, it's a drink. You're drinking most of your nutrition and eating things on the go because you are always in the car. You're taking care of your kids, you're taking care of your parents, and your kids are usually grade school, high school age by now. They're drinking everything. They want orange juice for breakfast, a shake at lunch. They're bulking up for whatever sport they're in or dieting, or they're trying all these things the teenagers do. And then all of a sudden they go off to college, and 55 plus is what I call downsizing and legacy. This is the worst phase for the kitchen, actually, because it's you and possibly your spouse 90% of the time. But you have to keep everything you've always had in the kitchen, because when the kids come back, they want all their favorites, their favorite dishes, their favorite products, and you are the place where all of the holidays happen. So you have to have all the holiday stuff. So you aren't allowed to downsize your kitchen because you are the house everybody goes to, but 90% of the time, you're only using a few cabinets and a few foods. So you're just looking at the kitchen. See how much that changes with each phase of life? So if you're trying to organize your kitchen in your 60s with the mindset of when you were setting your kitchen up in your 20s, you're constantly frustrated and you're not successful. So you need to recognize where you are in life, how you use that space, and then go through and organize that space.
Okay, I'm like sitting here, like I just kind of want to pull my chin up off the desk because there were so many little bits and pieces that you said there. I mean, I'm thinking, okay, Tony and I are in our mid 40s. We have the high schooler and the middle schooler. It's true. Like I can
Good
see
luck
them.
to you.
They like swirl into the kitchen and I've just gone grocery shopping. They open up the refrigerator. There's nothing there, Mom. I'm like, I just spent $200. What do you mean there's nothing? There's nothing that I want, right? And I remember that stage of we have 4 plates and 4 forks, and you're right, we are in that accumulation phase. But our kitchen is like it might as well have a revolving door around the island, you know, just like everybody just sort of circles. And so much of what you're saying, I'm just like, oh, it's a season. And then like when you said it doesn't have to look like Pinterest, our home organization does not have to. Freedom for everybody watching the show today. Because
I am not a Pinterest organizer. I am a functional organizer. I have 0 decorating skills whatsoever. Like you can make it look glamorous. I will make it function, then you make it pretty.
I love that because I think a lot of people get caught up in it's got to look like all the Pinterest. I mean, let's face it, people hop on Pinterest and we're like, oh, if I could just make it look like that. And then my favorites are the Pinterest fails.
Yes.
Right. Whether it's food or decorating or whatever it is. And you're like, yeah, I'm on that side. And so, but I want to go back to something I read as part of your intro. And that's that the organization isn't necessarily a skill that you're born with. So walk me through that because Tony is probably, I don't even know where he is this morning. He's probably watching the show and just like, Lisa, help my wife.
Help
she
her.
was not
just help her.
Born like, you all think I'm doing this show for you. Really, this show is because the struggle is real in our marriage. And, you know,
it is.
I'm going to put it out there. I'm going to be transparent with all of you and with Lisa. I already told her before the show. I'm like, this is me. So what do you do?
So here's the thing. I was born organized and my mom is extremely creative. She's an artist. And I thought, oh, well, she's just not born organized. I am. She's not. End of story. Well, I went to college to be a teacher. And when the student couldn't learn the algebra the way I was teaching it, what did I do? Say, oh, I'm sorry, you can't learn algebra? No. I had 8 different ways I could teach any math lesson I was teaching, and I would teach it until they learned it. The job of a teacher is to teach. It is not the job of the learner to learn. It's the job of the teacher to be able to reach the learner so that they can acquire the skill.
Okay.
Well, as I was professionally organizing people's houses, what I noticed was they would stop calling me. And I'm like, why are they stopping calling me? People who were extreme ADHD, all of them. And the reason why is because they had learned on their own how to be organized. Now, those who had ADHD would need me to come in and set up the system, but they could definitely maintain the system. And I was like, oh, it's learnable. So as soon as I figured out it was a teachable skill, game on. I'm a teacher. Like, I'll motivate you, encourage you, inspire you. Like, I will get you to get organized. So over time, through professional organization and then organizing my own house and breaking it down into 40 weeks, now I have a 100-day program with a 15-minute-a-day task. You do it 3 times. It's like Montessori education where you go through the same space 3 times. At the end of 3 times through, you are organized. But the number one rule is you must give yourself grace. And then along with that, you have to give the process time. You didn't get unorganized yesterday. You can't expect you're going to spend a weekend in your kitchen and it's going to be perfect. I take 21 days to get through the kitchen, and I tell you, you have to do it 3 times. And then your kitchen is organized. It's not like it's magic. You have to break it down systematically, and you need to be taught. These are the things that go in drawers. These are the things that go in cabinets. In your phase of life, you should have at least 1, but probably 2 drink cabinets. That means that the blender and the cups and the powders are all in the same cabinet. Right now, you have a blender in one cabinet, the cups in another one. It's all over the kitchen. And then the kids leave all of the doors open and everything's on the counter and you're yelling at them and they don't care and they're leaving anyway. And you're like, when it's all in one cabinet, they open it up. All their stuff is there. Only 2 doors are open. You just go like this and shut them. Don't even. Just shut the doors. Don't even try to teach them. It's not even worth your time.
Guys, what you don't know is that, here I am in San Diego and Lisa is in Ohio, and we literally just got on, the call like about 10 minutes before we got on the air, right? And so we didn't talk about my kitchen, and we did not talk about the blender cabinet.
And I just described it.
and we didn't talk about the fact that I can walk in and we have like a wall of cabinets, right? Long kitchen counter. And I cannot tell you how many times I have walked in, I'm like, why can't someone close a cabinet door? And so I'm just sitting here hanging my head going, she's not here, but I might as well have just had the spotlight on my kitchen because it's
every kitchen, Elisa. It's not you. It's every kitchen. People listen to the podcast and they're like, do you have pictures of my house? How do you know what my house looks like? People, it's everybody's houses. Stop looking at Pinterest. Nobody's living that way. Only when they take that picture. And I know bloggers who have been in the magazines who have those perfect houses. And do you know what the magazines do when they come to those houses? They move their stuff out and make it more perfect. Like, even the people who are literally living the perfect lives aren't perfect enough for a magazine.
Okay. All right.
So give it up. Just give it up.
How freeing is that?
Give it up.
How freeing is that? What you're saying here, Lisa, like, I'm just sitting here going, oh, there's a weight coming off. There's a weight coming off that one, like so much of what we talk about in marriage, it can be a learned skill.
Yes.
Right. And just like we get intentional about the intimacy lifestyle, we talk about scheduling sex and we talk about scheduling date nights and coffee breaks. What I'm hearing you say is for those of us that were not born organized, we need to schedule the time and learn it.
And it's personal. Not schedule the time so you can get your spouse and your kids organized, because you cannot get anybody else organized. Schedule the time to get yourself organized. And as the female, for all the females listening, you are the heart of the home. And what mom does, everybody follows along. And they know if you're serious or not. Like, if you're going to organize in a weekend, they're like, yeah. Mom saw a Pinterest picture. This isn't going to stick. But when you start organizing 15 minutes a day, every day, by week 2, you have an organized kid in your family that will step up to help you. And by the end, everyone will just start to naturally get organized as well, because they know that you're serious about this now. And they want to support you in having a more organized home.
So let me ask you, because you brought up a really good point there, that there probably is one child that is, and we have 2, and I know which one it is. What about the spouse that's, I'm reaching out to you because I'm obviously the one that, is owning it. But there are a lot of folks that are going to be watching this that they're like, oh, please, Lisa, what's the secret to getting my husband or my wife to come on board? And what I'm hearing you say is start the system.
Yeah, just take the time and get organized. The reason why, if you have an organized child, if they are not helping you organize the house, and I remember when I went into this one family, it was a single mom. She had 3 kids. And when I arrived, she and the 3 kids were there. It's expensive to have a professional organizer. And I brought my teammate with me. It was like a $750 day. Like, it was a major investment for this single mom. So all the kids were there. She was like, tell them what we're doing. We are all going to help you. We are going to get this entire house done in one day. It was a townhouse. And I said, okay, first of all, which one of you kids who's the organized one? And the kid raised their hand. And I said, okay, I'm going to speak to the rest of you. The reason why your house is unorganized is because this child has tried and tried and tried, but you don't follow the systems that he puts in place. And they all admitted it. And I said, okay, you are on my team. We are going to create this system. Your job is to tell them when they're not maintaining the system and to help maintain the system for them. And they all agreed and they stayed on. He was so excited. Like, his room was immaculately clean and everything else wasn't. And I said, he has given up because no one will help him maintain, and he's not the person in authority. And he was so excited and so empowered. And just like me, it wasn't work for him. It wasn't going to be work for him to spend hours a day. It's probably not work for Tony to help you hours a day to keep the house maintained, as long as you will be serious about the intention of the system he probably will set up, you will follow. The problem in the house is that the majority, especially in our generation and older, the majority of the house falls on the woman. And if the woman isn't organized, it is hard to keep the house organized. It's harder for Tony to step into the organizational place in our generation. Millennials, doesn't matter if it's the man or the woman, that person can assume the organization part of the house.
Interesting. So there is a generational
for sure
impact to that. Okay. And that frustration in Tony comes out, it makes an appearance every, month or so, where it's just like, please your piles. I'm a piler. And
okay, explain those piles. Tell me, what do you pile specifically? Clothes, paper.
Do you see me looking?
Yeah, clothes, paper, what else?
And I made sure that I know where my screen is. So I'm like, there's not going to be anything that Lisa's going to see.
Right.
I'm a paper piler.
Okay.
Papers come in, client notes, which actually the client notes are actually pretty good. I stay on top of those. But like, I'm looking over to the corner of my desk and I can tell you I have coupons, I have a notebook, I have a wedding invitation, I have a card, I have a notepad.
You need a Sunday basket.
Okay. Talk to me about Sunday basket.
But also, that's generational. Our generation and older is always going to have paper piles because that's how we were raised. That's how we learned. That's how we went to school. Millennials and younger, they will always say to me, I don't even have paper. Then when we dive deeper, we realize they do have paper and they realize they need paper organization too. But Gen X and older, like, we think in paper. We print out emails and highlight them. I just did it for this interview. I mean, we are not like, I'm not looking at a digital screen. I'm looking at a printed piece of paper with highlighted notes. We need to print it out because that's how we learned and that's how we continue to learn. So we need the paper. I guarantee you 50% of what's in that pile, if I gave you 30 minutes, you could throw away. You don't even need it, but you need to process it physically in order to know if you need it or not. So the Sunday basket is this system right here. This is a prototype. It's being made. This is your Sunday basket. Okay. And in your Sunday basket, you literally put everything that needs to be done. A button needs to be sewn on this shirt. This is brand new. I did figure out what to do with this.
Sure.
And then these are the pockets that are part of my system. And there's Sunday basket 1.0 and 2.0. These are all my ongoing projects for my household. There's a different one for your business. Okay. So you need to separate your work paper from your home paper, and then you need to go through it once a week on Sunday. Until Sunday, I get to load this thing up with anything and everything. And then on Sunday, there's a process for going through all of this paperwork. Tony probably is the one who wants to have the Sunday basket. He will go through it every single Sunday, and he will do like I do to my husband and only bring you the select pieces of paper he wants you to see and make a decision on, and he will have the Sunday basket. And sign up for my class, Tony. He'll love it.
Yeah, Tony's going to be like, where do I go? And that's the thing, because I think a lot of couples, and you mentioned Gen X, and we're also at the phase too where that whole sandwich generation thing is no joke.
Nope. If you're taking care of your parents, you need a basket for that, just for all your parents' stuff.
Just for all the parent stuff. Okay. Yep. That's good to know, because Tony's dad did die about 6 months ago. And so he has stepped up into this role, thank you, of helping mom with all the paperwork and just all of this and so, yeah, I'm like, oh, so like what I'm hearing you say is Sunday baskets for whatever, whether it's work or you're taking care of a parent or just household, or do you combine those?
Don't get overwhelmed with too many baskets. Just
Okay.
think about your household basket for now. There's one Sunday basket you start, which is for your Sunday basket. You need to realize statistically, the Pew Research Institute says that we are spending 18 hours a week just on home maintenance. Does not include if you have children.
What?
Cooking, cleaning, laundry, grocery shopping, yard maintenance.
Okay.
18 hours a week does not include all of the ridiculous driving you and I are doing right now with our children, and then arguing with them about not eating the food that we just bought.
Right.
You have a full-time job parenting and taking care of your house, no matter what. As soon as you have that child, you have a full-time job the rest of your life. Doesn't matter how old that child is. Recognize that you are the CEO of your house, that you have a full-time job taking care of your house and everything that goes in it. That is your Sunday basket. Then in addition to that, you're going to have a work box that we go through on Friday. And then in addition to that, especially in our generation, you're probably going to have to add in another basket here or there when you are taking care of your parents. They need their own Sunday basket because they have their own bills, their own mail, their own to-dos. And you want to be able to separate that out from your home. It's easier to go through two baskets at that point, but usually you only want to have one.
Okay. I'm feeling like...
Sorry, I'm like...
No, I love the fact that my brain feels like it's exploding right now. And I'm sure everyone watching this too is like, oh my gosh. Now I want to talk about those. So we've talked about the really organized, like we talked about the child that was in that family. And I know that there are many, many spouses out there that are like Tony that want to be the really organized. And there are a lot of people like me. What do those spouses like Tony, what can they do to help bring more harmony? Is it the basket system? Is it just starting, to create a system? Because maybe they've got one, but they haven't actually like tried to implement it. They just kind of like go behind and pick up stuff. What works for marriages? I'm sure when you go into a home,
yep,
you see a lot of craziness in the marriage world because of what's going on there.
So number one is to always focus only on yourself. So you focus on yourself, Tony focuses on himself. There is always like for example, there's this one Untuck It shirt that Greg hasn't hung up in the closet. My husband is a minimalist and he's pretty much a perfectionist, and there's nothing else in the entire house except this one shirt that he has not hung up. And, it drives me crazy every time I see this one shirt. Hello, there are piles everywhere for little creative, start another business every minute, Lisa. But I don't see any of that because that's mine. I know when I'm going to get to that. Don't worry about it. I got a plan for that. But your one shirt should really be hung up in that closet. So if every time you see that shirt and you're like, his, then you go, no, what do I have out? What have I not put away? None of us are perfect. There's always something in the house we can focus on ourselves. And if you're constantly going, what can I organize next? What can I organize next? Then if you are the more organized spouse and the other spouse is not organized, they are probably overloaded. And so then you need to look and say, okay, maybe they're unorganized. Maybe they don't care. Highly doubt it. Anybody watching this cares, number one. We know they care. So you care. They're overwhelmed, especially if it's the female. They are overwhelmed. They are naturally assuming the household, the children, they're making extra income. They're assuming all the extra stuff that goes on, the holidays, all of it. So then if you have all of your stuff organized and you still have more time, what is one task that you want to take off of them that will give them more time that you want to assume on your plate? And this is what I say to Greg. I learned this from Dr. Dobson when we had our babies. He said, if you have your husband watch the children, you cannot tell him how to watch the children. And so when I delegate, I'll say, Greg, my husband makes all of the meals. He does all the cooking and all the grocery shopping. So then last night he says, do you like green chilies? I said, yeah. He says, do you like green onions? I said, yeah. He goes, which do you want to have with the shrimp? I said, I don't care. And he's like, you don't care? You just want me to make it? I said, yes. I've delegated the full task. You grocery shop, you cook, you do it all. I do the cleanup. It's not worth it, especially for women. We tend to do a lot of mental organization. If you only delegate the grocery shopping but not the dinner, then you're asking them to buy food and they bought the wrong food for you. No, delegate the whole thing. He's in charge of all food. I don't care. He buys the kids snacks I wouldn't buy. I don't care. He's doing it. Do I want to go buy the snacks? No, I do not. So he does all food. And there's an app, and I put on the list what I want. So I'm like, this is what I'd like, please, when you go to the store. And then once or twice a week, I make a meal. And when I make a meal, I go buy my own ingredients. I don't ask him to buy them. So delegate completely. So if you want to take something off of your spouse because you're more organized, what can you take off completely? Can you take off auto maintenance completely? Which means you get all of the oil changed. You get the tire pressure checked. You get the cars gassed up on Sunday. You get the cars washed. You change out the wiper blades. You do everything car maintenance related. And when your spouse says their wipers or they're out of wiper fluid, you go do that. You don't tell them where that is. You go do that complete job. More complete task delegation and division between spouses will even the playing field so that the person who is less stressed and more organized will have more to do, and it'll be seasonal. Like when I'm crazy busy, Greg does more. When he's crazy busy, I'm like, hey, I'll do the trash this week. I'll do all the grocery shopping. I'll do all the cooking. I take it all back. I take the whole task, not bits and pieces.
That's revolutionary.
Yay.
Because this idea of taking the whole, like taking ownership of the whole thing, right? I'm thinking, how many times have I sent Tony to the grocery store? Even as a child, I remember my mom asking my dad to pick up something, and then it comes home and she's like, that's not what I wanted. Yeah. And it goes back to not being a mind reader, right? So I'm like, thinking about that. But everything that you're talking about ties into, so our hashtag for the One Family this year is what can I do?
Yes. Yes.
And so I'm like over the moon, just thrilled that was that's your philosophy.
Right.
Is what can I do? But I think for a lot of women and men that are watching this, when you look at it and you say, you know what, don't just delegate bits and pieces. If you're going to give them a task, an area of the household, then take your hands off of it and say thank you.
Exactly. Like, no micromanaging, no guilt, no corrections, no, well, next time, could you please? No. Do you want to do it? I don't want to do it. So you do it. However you want to do it. I don't care. And I don't care if it doesn't get done. And we eat out every night. I don't care. It's your decision.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Folks, like Lisa, I could talk to you. I'm like, oh, we're at the end of the show. And I'm like, oh, we're gonna have you back on and just dig more into this because
I'll do it.
Because what you're sharing here, folks, like I hope that you've gotten as much out of this conversation as I have. I know, Lisa, first of all, tell people where to find, because I know that there are people like, okay, wait, she mentioned her website and she mentioned her podcast and she mentioned like programs. Where do people get their hands on all that is Lisa Woodruff?
So I have 2 podcasts now and 2 websites. So Organize 365 is the main website. It's the main podcast. There are over 200 episodes. Awesome. Just start listening. What you're going to hear are mindset shifts. Organization happens in your mind first, usually 6 to 18 months before you see the physical ramifications of it. You need a lot of mindset work done, a lot of grace given, a lot of new ideas of how to use your space, and hope, because you've tried to get organized before and it hasn't worked. And so you need to really be built up. So I would start there. Then the Sunday Basket is a new podcast. TheSundayBasket.com is where you can find out about that system. And then the 100-day program opens up 3 times a year. We just opened it up in January, but I'm opening it up this weekend also for Martin Luther King weekend?
It is, yeah.
Yeah. It'll be open up Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, and then it will open again in May.
Okay. So folks, if you're watching this the first time, you watch it today, when it's gone live, you're watching it in the next couple of days, jump on over to Lisa's stuff, because I have a feeling that there are going to be quite a few of us looking at the next 100 days and saying, what are we going to do, right? How are we going to make 2018 the best year ever? And really taking ownership of what can I do?
Yes.
I was a little shocked when you said 6 to 18 months of mindset work, but I can appreciate, because I know that that's the same kind of thing that happens when couples are making changes in their marriage. And so folks, as you're thinking about that, you know that your house didn't become a disaster area, and I'm actually talking about mine, not yours. It didn't become a disaster area overnight. So let's not be thinking that there is a magic wand or a quick fix, or Lisa's going to send you fairy dust along with the 100 days and the Sunday basket. She's not going to.
Right.
You and I are going to do a lot of work to say, what would it feel like if this wasn't an area of contention in your marriage? What would it feel like if you had the freedom to walk into a room and just be like, it feels good. It feels good. And this is the reason why we do these interviews here on Going Deeper. It's because there are areas of your marriage, there are areas of your life that with focused intentionality will become breakthrough areas that allow you to step into a new season in your relationship, in your life, and really impact all of the people. I mean, you heard the stories about Lisa and the family and the kids and all of these people that are saying, we're going to step into this. We're going to invest in ourselves. So make sure to check out all of her resources. Start with Organize 365. I'm assuming and we'll put links too, but I'm assuming if they forget, everything is linked there on organize365.com.
Yes, and all my social media is Organize 365.
Find Lisa. You need her. Your marriage needs her. Like I'm just putting it out there. And until next time, folks, go deeper, because your marriage was not meant to be lived at the surface. Love you guys.